Hey, what's up guys, Chris here, back with another Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video, and today we're going to go over some of the best tips and tricks you should probably know from the very beginning. These have helped me tremendously to level up, to get a ton of customization options, to get a lot of upgrades, both for me and my droid, and there's a lot of stuff in here that requires a bit of a learning curve. So today what we're going to do is we are going to go over 10 of the best tips and tricks that every beginner should know when playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So let's jump right in, and of course, before doing so, a big shout out to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. Instant Gaming, as you know, is a website that sells games at some of the cheapest prices you can find around. So if you also enjoy discounts, go ahead and check out the links in the description box for some really awesome cheap games. Anyway, let's get started with XP. This is the most important of them all. This is what's going to give you additional skill points that you can invest in powers and abilities, and this will make you overall more powerful. So there's a lot of way to earn XP, but one of the first early ways to do it, besides just killing enemies, is to scan anything you can get your hands on. As soon as you unlock BD1, start scanning everything. This includes enemies, plants, parts of the environment, and you're going to get prompts for literally everything. Most important of them all are, of course, the enemies. As soon as you defeat an enemy, you're going to get a prompt to scan that specific enemy, and the bigger it is, if you scan it, the more XP it will give you, to the point that you might even get half a bar if you just scan a huge enemy, which is very important. But other times you might see your droid jumping off your shoulder and leading you towards a direction. Generally speaking, you will want to go to that direction because it will give you a point of interest that you can further scan, and it will also unlock another piece of lore, which is very important. So again, just do these two in the early stages and you're going to get a ton of XP in no time, on top of the XP that you're already getting. The second tip on the list is to look out for echoes. These provide some bonus XP. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's quite big, but most important of them all, it unlocks some lore pieces. You can learn more about the story in Jedi Fallen Order, and I found them to be pretty interesting. But yeah, you can find these pretty much anywhere. They can either be in your path or hidden behind certain places, which might be inaccessible at first, but you can unlock them later. And there's, generally speaking, at least a dozen of these echoes on any given map. These are very easy to notice. They come in with this bluish light, and you can definitely see them even from further away, so definitely keep an eye out for these as well. Coming up at number 3, chances are that you're going to notice at least a few crate types in this game. There's the white ones, the red ones, and finally there's the gold ones, and you should definitely open these as soon as you can. First of all, let's go over the white ones. These are the easiest. You can pretty much open them from the get-go, and they provide customization options and skins for both of your character, your droid, as well as your ship, so definitely keep an eye out for these. These are scattered all over the map, and you can unlock them as soon as the first planet. The red ones are pretty much the same, except they need an unlockable for your droid, so you can open them later on, and these can also provide some skins, so also very useful, but you will require to go to the 3rd or 4th planet to unlock a special ability for your droid that lets him unlock these parts, so definitely pay attention to these as well. But the most important of them all are probably going to be the gold chest. They provide additional health canisters for your droid, which means that you can further heal yourself in battle. At first you start with about 2 health canisters, and you can further upgrade the amount that your droid can hold by simply finding these. Unfortunately, they are way more rare than the other chests, so keep an eye out for the secret areas. These are generally 1 or 2 per planet, but once you find one of these golden chests, open it up, and this will increase the maximum health canister capacity by 1. It's going to make combat so much better. You're going to survive literally anything because you're going to out-heal pretty much anything. So yeah, definitely something that you should be keeping an eye out for early on. Moving on to number 4, this might be quite obvious to some, but killing enemies or even bosses from above is something that you should do as soon as you can. Especially on the first planet, there's going to be a very interesting boss, a frog boss that might be a little bit too difficult for you to take on early on, but you can actually cheese this fight quite a little bit because you can also attack him from above. Aerial attacks deal tremendous amounts of damage. All you need to do is to have some elevation compared to your enemy. In this case, there's an area that you can access above the boss in this room, and once you do that, you can attack him, and this will pretty much deal about half of its HP in damage, making the encounter much easier if you were, for example, to take it head on. And there's also a secret over there in that room that you might want to get early on, so yeah, go ahead, do that. Attack enemies with aerial attacks as often as you can, especially especially bosses. Coming up at number 5, since we are still on the subject of combat, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order greatly rewards high skill combat. This means that timing your parries, your dodges and your attacks is going to be paramount if you want to deal the most amount of damage to your enemies. It's not just about upgrading your skills and your abilities as well as your lightsaber, it's also about how you use your available attacks. So whenever you see an enemy attacking you, try to wait up until the last second to parry that attack so you can fully break his stamina bar. This is going to be extremely useful against enemies with great defensives, and if you do this, your next attack is going to deal tremendous amount of damage. So again, some very good stuff. Also, reflecting bullets in the last second is something advisable. If there's an enemy shooting you from afar, try to wait those bullets to reach you and then try to parry so you can reflect them back into your enemy. The game already teaches you this in the early stages, but later on in the game you're going to fight multiple enemies at the same time, most of which will shoot you from afar. So it's going to be very important for you to try to reflect all of these bullets back into them at the same time. Also, since we're still on the subject, this doesn't mean that you're going to be able to parry all of the attacks. If the enemy starts growing red, it means that you're not going to be able to parry that attack. So what you'll want to do in this case is to dodge away. Just try to dodge or roll away as fast as possible, because these attacks are not going to be parryable, at least not in the first half of the game, and I don't believe they're going to be parryable later in the game either. So yeah, just move away and use that window of opportunity to attack back, because generally speaking those are heavy attacks coming from the enemies and these will leave them exposed once they land and miss you. Now moving on to the number 6 tip, this is of course about heavy attacks. As I was saying, not just the enemies can use these heavy attacks, you can also use them, as long as of course you've specced into them. Two of the very early heavy attacks that you have at your disposal is the overhead and the leaping slash. These are very important, these require only one skill, but these are also very powerful because on one side they fully break the stamina bar or the guard bar for your enemies, and second of all, it deals a lot of damage. So for example, if you have both the overheat and the leaping slash, you can press F twice and this will first break the guard of the enemy and second instantly kill him in one shot. And later on you can also spec into sprint strike. This is something that I really like because it doesn't fully use your stamina bar, and instead you can just sprint to your enemy and do this overhead attack that deals quite a lot of damage. You can also take enemies into one shot with just this sprint strike, but I believe it requires about 2 points if you want to invest into it, and you're also going to require the path to it to be unlocked as well. So it's going to be like in the 4th or the 5th hour of playtime when you get this. On top of this, since we're still on the subject of good early skills to invest points into, also look at the HP boost, especially the survival, the enhanced survival for Cal. This straight up increases your HP, which in the beginning is pretty small, and you can die in one shot most of the times. And also look at the superior blocking. This is going to make your blocking so much better. It's going to drain way less stamina compared to the default skill, and you're going to do a lot of blocking in the game anyway, a lot of blocking, parrying, counterattacking, so this is something that you should invest points into. But otherwise, if you feel that your survivability is high enough, you can straight up just go in and invest some points into your force power to use your force powers more often. Moving on to number 7, Cal is not the only one that can make use of upgrades, and BD, your little droid, can also be upgraded as you progress through the game, though the process in his case is going to be slightly different. So the way you do it is by using these workbenches that you randomly find on planets, and you find them by simply progressing through the story, through the game, and eventually you are going to find one of these, as they are going to be in your path in one way or another. But what these do is that they provide certain abilities to the droid that will let you further unlock certain parts of the map. So for example, if you're on a planet and you cannot unlock a certain part of the map, it means that you're lacking the upgrade for the droid. So what you'll want to do in this case is to progress a little bit through the story and then come back later when you get the upgrade for it. This includes of course the slicing ability for the red chests and for the red doors, hacking for the white ones, but there's more, including even ascending on a zipline by using a motorized little upgrade for the droid. Moving on to number 8, you'll want to consult your map as often as possible because it reveals the path ahead, especially when it comes to hidden areas or less accessible areas, and you can do this both from the planet you're on right now or from your ship. You can also consult the map for each planet that you have unlocked from the very ship that you're onto, and it will provide you some very useful information. It will provide you information about the areas that are accessible to you, the ones that are inaccessible, as well as the number of secrets as well as chests that you have unlocked. We're going to go over the secrets in just a little bit because these are also important in their own right, but generally speaking, if you see anything with the color green or yellow on the map, that means that that certain area is going to be accessible to you. But the red ones are pretty much inaccessible and you can only come to these on a later stage in the game. So yeah, check it out as often as possible, make out your routes because you can see them in 3D pretty much, and also pay close attention to the bonus content over there at the bottom, especially in terms of crates as well as secrets. And this brings us to the number 9 spot, which are the secrets I was talking about. Generally speaking, most of these maps are going to hold at least 1 or 2 secrets, and what these do, they provide either HP or force power bonuses. You're going to have to collect 3 of these secrets for each of these, so 3 for the force power as well as 3 for the health, and once you do that, it's going to say something like maximum life increased or maximum force power increased, which is going to be extremely useful as you progress through the game. So definitely pay close attention to all of these secrets because these directly buff you and your combat capabilities. And finally, at number 10, my final suggestion is to take this game slow. It's definitely a fun one if you're a fan of the Tomb Raider series, if you enjoyed games like, for example, Uncharted or even Prince of Persia, which is something that this game borrows from, then you're definitely going to love this. It's basically all of these, except it's all set in the Star Wars universe, and I'm actually having a lot of fun in this game, especially the puzzle elements are very good. The game also makes you feel sometimes very strong and powerful against enemies, especially when you upgrade your character, while other times when you're taking part in huge or very large scale battles, it makes you feel very small and insignificant. There's many times when I felt both of these, and it can definitely change from one scene to another. It's not that the game is perfect or anything, but so far it's a very enjoyable experience. So yeah, I'm going to also post my first impressions video later today or later tomorrow. We'll see about that, but in the meantime, these were all the tips and tricks that I had for you guys. So let me know down below if I missed anything, if you have other tips that you might want to bring across, post them down below, and in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, of course, a like on it would be super helpful. Also subscribe and activate the notification bell, and I'm gonna see you guys later.